Alexandria, Egypt, the year 48 BC. In the greatest city of the ancient world, a metropolis of marble and learning. Crowned by a lighthouse, counted among the wonders of the earth, a young queen is fighting to keep her throne. Her name is Cleopatra, the seventh of that name, last of a Greek dynasty that has ruled Egypt for nearly 300 years, descended from a general of Alexander the Great. She is brilliant, ambitious, and cornered, driven from power by her own brother in a palace civil war. And into her harbor that same year sails the most powerful man alive. Gaius Julius Caesar has just shattered his great rival Pompey on a Greek battlefield and chased him to Egypt, only to find him already murdered by the Egyptian court. Caesar lingers in Alexandria, and Cleopatra, gambling everything, has herself smuggled into his presence to plead her case in person. The gamble works. Caesar becomes her lover and her champion. His legions restore her to the throne of Egypt. She bears him a son, Caesarion, and follows him back to Rome, where she is lodged in his own gardens, and a golden statue of her is set up in a Roman temple, beside the goddess of love herself. But there is a wall between them that even Caesar will not openly climb. Roman law forbids a citizen to marry a foreigner, and Caesar already has a Roman wife. More than that, Rome is a republic, a state founded 5 centuries earlier on the expulsion of its last king, a state whose proudest boast is that no one man wears a crown. To take an Egyptian queen as his wife, to raise their half-Egyptian son as his heir, would be to hand his enemies the very accusation they most wish to make, that Caesar means to be a king. And so whatever passes between them, in private, in public, the union is never completed. It never gets the chance to be. On the 15th of March, 44 BC, the Ides of March, a conspiracy of senators surrounds Caesar in the Senate House and stabs him to death, precisely because they fear he has already become a king in all but name. Cleopatra in Rome at that very moment flees home to Egypt. Her son is brushed aside. Caesar's will names another heir entirely, his young great-nephew Octavian. Within a few years, Cleopatra will gamble again on another Roman, Mark Antony, and lose everything: her fleet at Actium, her kingdom, and her life. Egypt is swallowed whole by Rome, and the dream of a throne shared between the Nile and the Tiber dies with her. That is the history written in our world, but our world is only one of many. Time runs in branches, and every branch turns on a single moment that might have gone another way. A warning read instead of ignored, a knife that never falls. Somewhere in that endless web of what-ifs lies a reality where Caesar was not struck down on the Senate floor, where he lived to do the very thing his killers died to prevent, and ruled the Mediterranean world with an Egyptian queen at his side. Let us cross over and follow that world all the way to its end. The moment of divergence comes on the morning of the Ides itself. In our timeline, a Greek teacher named Artemidorus presses a scroll into Caesar's hand as he walks to the Senate, a scroll naming every conspirator and every detail of the plot. And Caesar, thronged by well-wishers, never reads it. In this timeline he does. Perhaps he pauses on the steps. Perhaps his wife, Calpurnia, who has begged him all morning not to go, catches his sleeve one last time. However it happens, Caesar reads the names, and the trap meant to close on him closes instead on the men who set it. The conspirators are seized before the blades can be drawn. Brutus, Cassius, and the rest, the last champions of the old republic, are exposed as assassins and destroyed, their cause buried with them. And with them dies the final restraint on Caesar's power. The Senate that had dreamed of cutting him down now sits silent and afraid. There is no one left in Rome with the will or the standing to tell him no. The thing the Republic was built to prevent has come to pass. One man stands above the law, and the law itself knows it. And so Caesar does the very thing the daggers were meant to stop. He sends for Cleopatra. The old law, forbidding their marriage, is swept aside by a Senate that no longer dares refuse him. And the most powerful man in the world takes the Queen of Egypt as his wife. not in secret, not in scandal, but in the open, as an act of state. Their son Caesarion, blood of Caesar and blood of the Ptolemies, is named heir to all of it. In a single stroke, the Western Empire of the legions and the Eastern Kingdom of the Nile are bound together under one family. What is born from that marriage is something the world has never seen. The Roman Republic, already hollowed out from within, is quietly set aside, and in its place rises an open monarchy, but not a Roman one. Caesar and Cleopatra reign as a Hellenistic king and queen in the Eastern manner, wrapped in the divine majesty of the pharaohs, hailed as living gods in the cities of the East. The stiff republican forms of Rome give way to the dazzling court ceremony of Alexandria. The crown that no Roman had dared to wear for 500 years is worn at last, and it is shared with a woman. And make no mistake, this is a throne shared, not merely a queen kept at court. Cleopatra is no ornament at Caesar's side. She is a ruler in her own right, fluent in a half-dozen tongues, schooled in the statecraft of the oldest kingdom on earth, as shrewd a political mind as the age produced. Where Caesar commands the loyalty of the legions and the machinery of Rome, Cleopatra commands the wealth of Egypt, the prestige of Alexandria, and the deep arts of a monarchy that had governed millions for 3,000 years. Together, they are far more formidable than either could be alone, a soldier-statesman of the West and a scholar queen of the East. Ruling a single world with 4 hands upon the reins, and the center of the world begins to shift. In our history, all roads led to Rome. In this one, they lead as often to Alexandria, the queen's own city, home to the greatest library on earth and the beating heart of ancient learning. Wealth, knowledge, and power pool around a throne that sits where Europe, Africa, and Asia meet. Greek is spoken in the halls of empire beside Latin. The grain of Egypt and the gold of the Ptolemies fund the legions of Rome, and the union that was once a scandal becomes the richest and most cosmopolitan power the Mediterranean has ever known. The union reshapes even the heavens. Caesar is already being spoken of as a god in Rome. Cleopatra has ruled as a living goddess on the Nile her whole life. Their marriage weds not only 2 realms, but 2 ways of seeing the divine, and from it grows a single imperial faith in which living rulers are worshipped openly, their images raised beside Jupiter and Isis alike. Temples rise that no Roman of the old republic could have stomached. The sober civic gods of Rome and the ancient, star-charting religion of Egypt flow together into something new. A state cult of the God King and the God Queen that will shape how millions pray for centuries to come. There is an old dream beneath all of this, and both of them know it. 3 centuries before, Alexander the Great had tried to fuse East and West into a single world under a single ruler and had died with the work unfinished. Caesar had once wept before Alexander's statue. Cleopatra's own line sprang from Alexander's empire, and Alexander's tomb lay within her city. In their marriage, that abandoned dream is taken up again, a Greco-Roman Egyptian world, ruled from 2 capitals by 1 dynasty, reaching from the shores of Spain to the edge of Persia. What conquest could not weld together, a wedding has. With Rome pacified and Egypt's treasury behind him, Caesar turned at last to the war he had been planning when the daggers found him in our world. The conquest of Parthia, Rome's great rival in the East. In our timeline, that campaign died on the Senate floor with him. In this one, it marches funded by Ptolemaic gold, supplied through Egyptian ports, aimed squarely at the one power that had ever humbled a Roman army. Whether it ends in triumph or in disaster, it points the empire's ambition in a wholly new direction, not north into the forests of Europe, but east, along the old roads of Alexander, toward the very lands the Macedonian once ruled. The line they found replaces the one our history remembers. There is no Octavian rising to become Augustus, no cautious monarchy disguised as a restored republic, no Julio-Claudian dynasty of Tiberius and Caligula and Nero. Instead, the throne passes to Caesarion and his heirs, a Julio-Ptolemaic house, half Roman and half Egyptian, claiming descent from a war god of Rome and the sun gods of the Nile alike. The most powerful bloodline on earth is no longer purely Roman, and it never will be again. And yet, What is won here is also a kind of loss. The republic that dies on the Ides in this world does not die slowly behind a mask as it did in ours. It is simply extinguished in the open. And with it goes the oldest experiment in shared power the West had yet produced. The idea that no man should be king, the idea that would one day set fire to the imaginations of revolutionaries and founders 2,000 years later, is snuffed out at its source, and a throne built on a single brilliant marriage is only ever as steady as its bloodline. The union of Rome and Egypt breeds as many hatreds as it heals. Proud Roman senators who cannot stomach taking orders from a god queen in Alexandria, Eastern subjects who resent the boots of the legions, heirs who will one day murder heirs for the double crown. A world ruled by Caesar and Cleopatra is a dazzling one. It is not necessarily a kind one, and it is not necessarily safe. Follow that road to its end, and you arrive at a strange and pointed truth. In our world, the men who killed Caesar killed him to save the Republic, and the Republic died anyway, murdered a second time by the heir they never saw coming. The knife on the Ides changed who would end Rome, freedom, and how and when. It did not change whether. In this parallel, Caesar simply does, in the daylight with the queen at his side, what Augustus would do by stealth in ours. Either way, the age of the crown arrives. The daggers only decided its face. That is the vertigo of it. Everything that came after in our history, the Roman Empire as we picture it, its emperors and its gods, the shape it pressed onto Europe for 1,000 years, hung on a scroll that a busy man did not stop to read on a March morning. Cleopatra staked her whole world on Roman men twice and lost. In another reality, she staked it and won, and the map of the ancient world was drawn around her throne rather than her tomb. That is how thin the line can be between the history we know and the history that might have been. This has been Historically Parallel.